It's Thursday, May 11th, 2023. Before I start the video today, please make sure to give this video a like, share this video, and make sure you subscribe to this channel. But let's get right into what's happening today. There's no doubt a lot happening. We have a humanitarian crisis taking place. We have a banking crisis taking place. We have a financial crisis taking place. We have a debt default crisis taking place. We have so many crises. It's absolutely incredible the amount of events that are taking place right now. But let's start with this first one. PacWest shares tumbled 22% after regional bank says deposits fell 9.5% last week. Shares have fallen 50% this month, 80% for the year. And people are still not putting money in these banks. In fact, people are taking money out of these banks. Comment down below. Do you feel that the U.S. banking system is safe? Do you think it's just regional banks that are going to be in trouble? Or do you think some of the bigger banks could be in trouble? Do you think it's just a couple hundred banks in trouble or more? I think thousands of banks are in very, very big trouble, ladies and gentlemen. I don't think it's just 100 or 200. I think at least half the banks in America, maybe more, are insolvent, in very, very big trouble. So be cautious of how much money you're putting in the bank. Make sure if you have to have money in the bank that you put it in multiple banks. And even doing that, you're putting your money in the system. Whether you put it in 2 banks, 3 banks, or 5 banks, your money is still in the system. I think your money is much safer out of the system, and even safer if you're out of dollars and into gold right now. But a lot of people out there just believe they'll be safe because their money's in 3, 4, or 5 banks. But remember, you're in 3, 4, or 5 banks that are in the system, and the system is corrupt. The system is broken, and the system can take your money. So be very, very careful. Let's talk about this one. Jobless claims. This is from Fox Business today. Jobless claims rise sharply to highest level since 2021. Jobless claims for last week, we had 264,000 people file first-time jobless claims. So I have to ask, what does this mean for the U.S. housing market? What does this mean for the U.S. economy? What does this mean for U.S. retail? If we are losing well over 200,000 jobs a week, 1 million a month, how in the world can we have a strong economy? How in the world can we have a strong housing market? How in the world does the retail sector stay alive when 1 million people a month are losing their jobs? Yet we're being told that we're gaining jobs every month. So something doesn't add up here. 2 plus 2 does not equal 4. Somebody is no doubt lying, because we cannot be losing 250,000 jobs a week and believe that we're going to continue to have a good economy, or we're going to have a soft landing, or things are going to recover, or the housing market's going to bounce back. The average consumer now is so broke. I don't even think people realize it, because they go, well, the restaurants are full, people are at Disneyland, people are at the casinos in Vegas, so everything must be okay. So many people now are so dependent on the use of credit cards, and they're going deeper and deeper into debt. They don't even care. They are just giving it the last hurrah at this point. But we have another crisis, an unemployment crisis in America. And let me tell you, it is getting much more difficult for them to sweep all this stuff under the rug. I mean, it is just incredible. The events that we're watching unfold socially, geopolitically, financially, socially. It's absolutely incredible. Here's another one today from CNBC. Disney shares sink nearly 9% after the company reports streaming subscriber losses. How much longer will it be till people just start cutting all this out? So many of you have written to me in the past that you cut your cable out, these streaming services, cutting out Disney. How long do these companies have, and these streaming services have, before people just say no more? They're forced to budget, they're forced to make cuts, and they're getting rid of this stuff. So it's going to be very interesting to see every month now what people are cutting out of their lives, because now it's all about the essentials. It's about paying the utility bill, it's about putting gas in the car, it's about paying the rent, it's about feeding their kids, and it's not about these subscriptions. It's not about Disney. It's not about fun. Now it is about survival. Here's another one today from CNBC. Americans are spending big with credit cards. We know now that people are so dependent on credit cards. And isn't it amazing? These credit cards, these credit card companies contact me daily about getting a new car, getting a higher limit. Many of you have written the same thing. They're literally, saying, hey, do you need a higher limit? Instead of 5, do you need 10,000? Do you need a $10,000 limit? And it's really interesting to think, why are they doing this? Why are they allowing people to have more money? It's almost like they're injecting this money to keep everything moving along, to keep everything limping along. But what happens when people cannot pay these credit card debts back? And yet the banks are allowing people to take more and more and more, almost in a way to continue to support this decaying economy. Comment down below, why is it? Why are the credit card companies allowing people to have higher credit limits now instead of lower credit limits? Because we hear so much that, they're going to cut the credit limits in half, people are getting their credit cards shut off. But right now, and I believe that is going to happen, but why is it right now that these credit card companies are saying, hey, we're going to give you more money? Why is that? And of course, credit card interest rates are much higher also. But getting back to this article, roughly 29% of households earning less than $50,000 a year were using credit cards to finance their spending, according to Bank of America. Paying rent, paying utility bills, paying gas, paying at the grocery store. The average household got back 10.4% less on their tax refunds this year. And what people do is, typically a lot of people will get their tax refund and they will pay down the credit cards. They're not going to be able to do that this year because they got less money back. And that means less money going back into the economy too. People have less money to spend and they have less money to pay down their debts. Forbes, the average credit card interest rate right now, as of 3 days ago, 24.26%. 1 in 5 have over $20,000 in credit card debt. 2 million people in America have over $50,000 in credit card debt. This does not end well, ladies and gentlemen. The average consumer, the average household is in big trouble, severe trouble. And these are the good times. We are going to continue to watch this economy erode. We are in the very early innings of a depression, and people are already broke. They're already dependent on credit cards just to survive. Here's one from The Hedge. The economy is beginning to shudder, the lag effect. So no matter how much money they throw at this economy, there is no way they're going to be able to turn it around. We are, no doubt, as I was speaking to a friend of mine today, we are past the point of no return. The economy, for over a decade, has been driven. It's been supported by QE. We had interest rates at nearly zero for over a decade. The Fed created a massive housing bubble by buying mortgage-backed securities and buying stocks. And we created this massive bubble in the stock market. And we have an economy where the GDP, 70% of the GDP is consumption. Americans buying stuff with money they don't even have. How is this sustainable? How do we remain a world superpower? Are we even really a world superpower right now? Or have we already lost that? Now the corrupt system, and this is a very corrupt system, it's going to eat up people's wealth. It's going to eat up their standard of living. It's going to take their homes. It's going to take their cars. It's literally going to take their life, because people gave into the temptation. They could borrow money extremely cheap. They could buy a house that they couldn't afford, but they were able to buy it because interest rates were so low. So they didn't look at the price of the house, they looked at the payment. When they went and bought the boat, they didn't look at the price of the boat. That boat's $100,000. It doesn't matter. They'll finance it over 15 years at $499 a month or whatever. They don't look at what the cost is. They look, can I make the monthly payment? Same thing with the car, the RV, the boat, the house. Most people could not afford an $800,000 house, but because they paid 2.6%, they were able to do it and get by. But we are going to watch prices of all this stuff come down. And I just talked to a realtor today, out of state in the South, and he's seeing the same thing happening there as we're seeing here. Sales have slowed down, and he knows, and he told me there's no doubt prices are going to have to come down because things are just not moving. And sooner or later, the sellers, somebody's going to have to sell. With so many people losing jobs in America, People are going to be forced to sell. People are going to be forced to raise capital. At some point, somebody goes, hey, I don't have $1 million anymore. I'm down to 150. I need to sell something to raise some capital. I need a cushion. And I better sell something before prices go even lower. And it's going to be a race to the bottom. So we're going to watch some pretty amazing times. And I know a lot of people out there, a lot of real estate agents believe that prices aren't coming down because of limited inventory. But remember, 1.7 million homes under construction. You have so many landlords, especially out here in California, who are going to get out of the landlord business because of what happened with the moratoriums. You have people right now being absolutely devastated because they've lost jobs, a spouse has lost a job, and they are, you know, the majority of Americans living paycheck to paycheck. And when somebody loses a job, when somebody has an emergency take place, they're going to have to sell something. And at some point, people are going to be forced to sell the toys. They're going to be forced to sell the vacation home, the Airbnb, or even the primary residence. And that is happening. And you know, this real estate market is mainly based on one thing: jobs, income. If people don't have an income, if they don't have a job, they cannot afford a house. They cannot afford to maintain a house. They sell. They can't buy. And that's what it's really based on. Not inventory, not how nice the weather is, not what kind of mood you're in, not how many people are spending in retail, not how well the stock market's doing. It's based on jobs. It's based on income. And people are losing their incomes. And real wages have been down now for 24 straight months, and people are losing jobs. And this means they're going to lose houses. And we are witnessing massive repossessions of cars, 15,000 car repos a day. If people cannot afford to even pay to keep their cars, how are they going to pay to keep their homes? And we're watching people every day, their credit is being destroyed because they can't pay the utility bills, they can't make the car payment, they're behind on the RV payment, maybe they're 3 payments behind on the mortgage, the rent, what have you. Credit is being destroyed right now, and these people are not going to be able to come back into the market to buy a car or a house because their credit's going to be destroyed. So we're going to see very, very few people be able to qualify to buy a home. And I think 12 months from now, the pool of qualified buyers is going to be very, very small in this country. King World News: unhappy days. Americans think their best days are behind them. A survey found 66% said that they believe the economy is getting weaker. 32% said that they feel the economy will get stronger. 81% see the gap between rich and poor, no doubt about that. 71% believe the U.S. will be less important in the world. Completely agree with all that. And here's another one today from the Hedge. Bank of England hikes by 25 basis points, forecasts higher inflation, and warns of more tightening. I bring this up because I believe that we still have a very, very real chance of another rate hike in June. I believe that we have a real chance of at least 2 more rate hikes right here. And I know that there are so many people out there that are hoping that the Fed doesn't raise rates, and the market is hoping that the Fed is going to pause and not raise, and that you know, in June, July, they're going to reverse, or by the end of the year, they're going to reverse. Well, right here, Bank of England isn't doing that. And I think that this is telling us something, that there is a higher chance that we're going to get another rate hike here in June. So I don't think we're out of the woods. And how in the world can they stop raising rates or reverse when we still have inflation at 5%, and their goal is to get inflation down to 2%. You're not going to get to 2% by pausing. You're not going to get to 2% by reversing course. Not going to happen. Physical gold investment of 5% in first quarter. This also on the Hedge. U.S. investors purchased 32 tons of physical gold in the first quarter of this year. Gold bar and coin demand jumped 40% from the fourth quarter of 2022. And get this, China demand totaled 66 tons. That was a 34% jump year over year. I was watching a video the other night with Andy Schectman, and Andy Schectman said that China has 38,000 tons of gold, that the Chinese government has 20,000 tons of gold, and that the Chinese people hold 18,000 tons of gold, for a total of 38,000 tons of gold. Anybody out there that doesn't believe that the US dollar is in jeopardy, that the future of the petrodollar, the world reserve currency, the US dollar, isn't in jeopardy. You are drinking the Kool-Aid. We are looking at countries around the world that are just completely bulking up, not on paper, not on crypto, but on physical gold, ladies and gentlemen. They know something. And we look at the institutional investors. They're buying physical gold while US retail investors are buying crypto. We're going to see who's right and who's wrong. But I think I'm going to stay on track, continuing to do what the world central banks are doing, and that's buying physical gold. I just made an order yesterday, and I'm going to keep buying gold. I think it's cheap. There is no doubt in my mind that the worse this economy gets, the more pressure the US dollar comes under, the more uncertainty there is out there, the more stagflation, the more people losing their jobs. I'm betting against the debt, ladies and gentlemen, and I'm going to protect my wealth, and the way I'm going to do it is to buy gold. I'm not telling anybody else what to do. I make these videos and I share with you what I'm doing, what people around me are doing. I think that there's really no other place right now than gold and silver. If you can get a great deal on a piece of land where you can raise some animals or some food, that's a great idea. I talked to a real estate agent today, and you know, we are looking for that property. There's just, you know, when you're looking for a certain amount of acres and a certain type of property in a certain area, it takes a little bit of time. And of course, finding it at the right price. Right now, I'm looking at some properties. They're beautiful, but the price is not right yet, and they're way overvalued. And I'm sure many of you who are thinking about maybe leaving your state, maybe the state of California or New York or Illinois, you know, you're looking around, and you know, it's all about timing, trying to time it as close as you can to getting a good deal. But I think we have a ways to go, and at some point, some of these sellers are going to realize that they're going to have to sell. And there's going to be some very good opportunity out there. Some of these sellers still believe it's 2022, 2021. Those days are long gone. And the sellers are going to learn a very, very valuable lesson here. And, you know, greedy people are going to really learn a lesson here, because this thing is not coming back, ladies and gentlemen. We're still looking at 6.5% on a 30-year. That's with perfect credit. I still think rate hikes are coming. Banks are tightening. They're going to get much more restrictive with loans. And again, that qualified pool of buyers that can buy a home right now is shrinking. So if you're a seller and you have a fair offer with somebody qualified to close the deal, you should think about it. You really should think about it. Greed will get you in big trouble, ladies and gentlemen. I watched this movie take place back in 05, 06, 07, and by 08. The people who were really, really greedy and held out, they got destroyed. So I'm going to leave it there today. A lot happening as I close, not to get political, but we have a major humanitarian crisis going on. I'm sure most of you are watching this on the news. You know, it's just a crazy time. But you know, my question is, again, not to get political here, but there are a lot of people coming to America, and my question is, how are we going to feed all these people? How is the medical system, the health system, going to be able to take care of all these additional people? Somebody comment down below and explain that to me. We right now have people in food lines. We hear about food shortages. We're hearing about the meat shortages. It is just going to get more and more difficult for the average person to afford to go to the store and buy food. And now we have so many people coming to this country. How do we feed them? How do we afford this? I don't know. Please comment down below, shed some light on it. Just an absolute crazy time here in America and in the world. There's just so much disruption and uncertainty taking place. Walk close to God, ladies and gentlemen. I would advise to be praying daily for strength and guidance. And most of all, thank God for everything you have right now, because it can be gone tomorrow. I'm going to leave it there. God bless every one of you. Have a good day.